Hi everyone. Carol and I are here today, and I'm so grateful you're joining us. We are in Carol's office, and she has an office called, is it called Lakeside Counseling?
Yep.
Awesome. Yes, that's what I thought. And I have known Carol a long time. We used to visit Teach together in my old ward, and she's a great friend. And I wanted you to find out a little bit about her background and about why she decided to go into counseling, or your story for our audience here.
The story.
Yeah.
Like Kristine said, my name's Carol Buffy. We have known each other, well, even before visiting teaching, preschool
23,
teacher to
yeah.
my daughter who's 25. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was with me also through the process of my divorce, taking care of my kids as a single mom, and going back to school. I was going to be a nurse. I got accepted into the nursing program. And while I was waiting for the program to start, I took some electives. And one of the electives I took was a social work class. And after I took that class, it was just like, oh, this is it. It was what I knew. Yeah, it was it. And once I declared that as a major, the scholarships just started showing up. Funding for the program, it was fairly simple program. So when I started the schooling, it was in 2001. I got my associate's degree, my bachelor's, and my master's in 4 years.
That's incredible.
And graduated in 2005 with a master's of forensic social work. So most of my emphasis is on trying to figure out why people do what they do, and where the end result is often like addiction or criminal behavior. For years, Kristine has known that I've worked for the court system, interviewing and assessing criminal behavior that's been based in mental health, and try to figure out why they do what they do, and even going as far as flying around the country interviewing family members that were, and school teachers, preschool teachers. I've even interviewed a mailman. Because what happens to us as a child absolutely creates my paradigm for my adult life. And those were some of the things that I would research in a criminal context for the court. But now, in my private practice, I have a whole different approach.
Yeah.
So,
And you're awesome.
thank you.
I have been here and I love it. So you really worked hard, and did you do most of your schooling when you were a single parent?
All of it. Well, I had some credits in some classes before. I had tried to go to school multiple times. I had a husband that didn't embrace education, but it just, apparently it wasn't the right degrees either, if I look at it that way also.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it wasn't the right time.
So Carol, how long have you been, with Lakeside Counseling, how long have you been in your place here, or in the other place? You have two places.
Right.
In your private practice.
Right. Private practice has been since 2017.
17.
2016. No, I lied. I lied again. 2015.
Yeah.
There we go. That's better.
There
2015.
So the question I want to ask, and I was curious when I first reached out to you and I decided I wanted to do this Facebook group, was, do you feel, in your experience as a counselor working with people, have you had a lot of women come to you who have issues with sex? They don't feel comfortable with it, or there's a problem or something like that. Has that been something that has been present in a lot of your clients, or some of them?
Absolutely. When we do assessments, when clients come in, we, as I mean, like most mental health providers, part of the intake for a healthy assessment is asking questions about sexual history, current sexuality, and a lot of people, when they start off, they don't want to talk about it. There's a lot of fear, a lot of stigma, but mostly I find a lot of questions. People don't know what's normal. We don't know what's normal.
No.
There is no rule for normal. There is a rule for consensual.
Yes.
There is a rule for okay, like healthy, but we don't really know what's normal.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was interesting. So, um, for the next few minutes that we have, so in this unit that I'm talking about is the importance of your childhood and how that affects you growing up. And it affected me hugely. And um, and so I wanted to ask you, Carol, is there some key factors with a lot of our women here are going to be having children or have children. Some of them are grandparents. Is there some things that you have noticed, some patterns you have noticed that would be important for a group of women to know?
That's kind of a big question.
So their children can be healthy sexually. What to watch out for, maybe?
Okay. I think a lot of it starts with you being okay with it
As a mom.
as a mom,
Okay.
right? As a grandma, as a mom, as an aunt, as a neighbor, as a big sister.
Yes.
If you're not okay with it, and I think we're talking about sexuality.
Yes.
If I'm not okay with my sexuality, how can I possibly even see the warning signs or the needs of my children? So the first step has got to be, you've got to be okay with you.
Yes. Working on
yeah.
yourself.
Working on it, right?
And loving, just loving. And actually, because a lot of times religions have a lot of stigma and a lot of shame growing up, which is what I experienced, which is one of the things I want to change in my community. And so this carries on, and I wanted to stop it with my girls, and I actually think most of them are doing okay with that. But I agree.
It starts with you. And little kiddos, they're more intuitive because that's how they communicate. They sense, they watch body language, they listen to your tone. So I might be able to fake it for a minute with my kids. If I don't have healthy sexuality, I might be able to fake it, but not for very long. They will sense that I'm not being consistent and authentic. And for me to be authentic, though, it's like Brene Brown says, I have to choose courage over comfort. Dr. Brene Brown does a lot of research on authenticity, vulnerability, and we have to get there if I'm going to be okay with my sexuality. So then my kids, my sisters, other women around me are okay with theirs.
Yes, yes. So, what are some obstacles that you feel like that some of your women have run up against that we could talk about right now, and maybe some simple solutions?
What do you mean? I've been doing this for a lot of years. What do you mean by obstacles? Like,
well, maybe so. Our religion sometimes. I grew up, of course, LDS, as a lot of you know, and Catholics have this too, where a lot of times girls, they feel there's lessons taught, and they get to be really worried that they're going to make a mistake and do something wrong, and it's going to be really bad for them. That's something to watch out for when you're a mom, right?
Right.
You don't want your daughters becoming so scared that they might make a mistake, because it really affected me sexually. I haven't talked about it yet in my group, but when I was a teenager, it really scared me. It was huge.
I think, what is their names? They're authors and presenters within the LDS Church, and I think their last name's Eyre, E-Y-R-E.
Eyre.
They've got some really good information out there on LDS standards and when to talk to your kids. And their philosophy is, even within the LDS culture or religious cultures in general, is to make sure that a parent is talking to their kids pretty much in detail about masturbation, orgasm, sexual intercourse, and the words, using those words. by
really?
age 8.
Oh, interesting.
By age 8. Because what's happening is then the family or the parent is laying the foundation for what sex is.
Oh, yeah.
And so if I can tell my child words that are appropriate, and then they hear other things from kids at school or other adults, I have given them the first.
A good foundation.
Yeah, all the other information has to be compared to the information I've given them.
Oh, that's
so
very
if
good.
they hear it first from kids at school, then my information, they compare my information to their first.
That's very
So
powerful.
they need to know those words, those body parts, before age 8.
Wow.
Not in great detail, but as much as they can understand. And then along with that, we're not done. You talk to them at age 8. You talk to them again, more detail at age 12, more detail at age 16. And then all, like, you answer everything they can ask you by age 18. And then again before they get married. That's best case scenario.
Wow,
is that you talk to them about sex, sexuality, their body parts before age 8. That way, I can assess from there going forward how my child is doing.
Yes, that's so good, and that way you don't get religion stepping in there. If you have already told your child that your body is beautiful, and if you found out how to pleasure yourself, if you find out one of your kids do that, how do you talk to them about that so they don't feel shame about that?
Oh, like, for one, when they're little, for years, it's not about sex.
It isn't.
It's
Absolutely.
not about arousal. It's
No.
about, they have discovered something that feels good, that decreases stress, that helps relax. And so you just teach them social norms.
Okay.
That you don't even say, it's okay to masturbate, because that's like kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
You just say, hey, what you're doing needs to be in the bedroom or bathroom, someplace private.
Yeah.
Under a blanket in your bedroom. Like, give them permission for an area.
Yes.
Even things like little boys, not little boys, teenage boys, put a thing of toilet paper or tissue paper by their bedstand. Just quietly, not unobtrusively, just set that there. But when they start to pleasure themselves, that's all it is. It's all just about relaxing. If you know your child well. Now, I told you most of my history is assessing criminals. We do have to be aware that sometimes a child is acting out sexually because that's what they've been taught from another person. But the most important thing any parent can do is listen to their intuition, their gut.
Yeah.
And if they've never talked to their child about sex or body parts, and or pleasuring themselves, and now children are talking about it a lot, they've learned it from somewhere.
Okay. So it's best for them to learn it from you.
Right.
And you don't want boys or girls we don't want them to grow up feeling that their body is bad and exploring their body is bad.
Well, it's ridiculous.
It's
I can
ridiculous.
explore all of my body, but my swimsuit area?
Yeah. I mean, it's just
it's not common sense.
Okay.
Like, one bishop was telling me that he had young adults come in and talk to him and confess all their sins. He told me he'd get so frustrated when they would confess the sins of being addicted to masturbating. And he told me the funniest thing. He's like, if God thought it was such a sin, why did he make your arms the perfect length?
Okay.
Right?
Perfect.
We have to back down, relax.
Yes.
Stop the shame, stop the guilt, stop the embarrassment.
Thank you so much. That is all for this little section here. Let's have our children have healthy sexual ideas, and so they can grow up and enjoy their life, right?
That's right.
Yes. Yay!
Okay.
Thank you, Carol.
You bet.
We appreciate this.
Love you.
Love you.